Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Am I the Asshole? If you enjoy hearing Reddit stories, we would really appreciate it if you could like or subscribe to help support the channel. Now, let's dive into our first story. Am I the asshole for not giving my cat back to the breeder? Backstory: we've always wanted a Maine Coon. Got one a few years ago that turned out to be a Wish.com Maine Coon. One of our acquaintances runs a Maine Coon cattery, and due to lack of genetic diversity, needed to rehome their 2 male cats. We were offered one of the males at an extremely reduced rate to ensure that he went somewhere where he would A, be treated like a prince, and B, be neutered, and not just bred again. Important context: we have a very skittish, came from a hoarding colony, seized by the council cat. She's a rescue, and our little angel who can do no wrong. She's also not fond of other cats, but tolerates Cat 2, who's affectionately known as the Bitchcraft. We thanked them for thinking of us as suitable and asked if he could come on a few days' trial to see how the cat's chemistry would be. 1 Feb. Turns out he's a total himbo and a very submissive cat, so while she isn't fond of him, she's also very quickly realized that he's not going to try and beat her. We accepted and thought that was that, confirmed that we would like to keep him 8-9 of February, and paid a symbolic amount for microchip transfer on the 10th. Yesterday, 19 Tef, we got a message that they would like him back for a few days, because one of their girls weren't pregnant like they thought she was. We're super hesitant, as they've only just started gelling, plus has scheduled to be neutered this coming Monday. They then pushed on that they could pick him up in the morning and drop him off at night, and that he'd get the job done. We again said that we're not comfortable with him leaving the house, and they asked if they could instead bring the female to our house to breed. Our girls are scheduled to be out of the house for a few hours this weekend, so we agreed, but now they're talking about taking him with them. We're super uncomfortable with the whole situation since it was stipulated by them to get him neutered ASAP, and now they want him back. We're also worried they'd keep him beyond the scheduled time if he doesn't breed her, and then he'd miss his neuter. They're being super pushy and now doing some weird, do you know how much these cats sell for? Spiel. Our argument is that he's only just stopped calling for his old household, and that our girls would lose their mind if he came back smelling weird again. He's also just a little baby cat, too, and isn't titled. Am I the asshole? Just tell them the vet had a cancellation, and since they wanted him neutered ASAP, he's at the vet's right now. Makes as much sense as wanted to go back on rehoming due to overly narrow gene pool. ETA definitely not the asshole. Regretting not telling them that he's already been neutered NGL. Not the asshole, he's your cat now. You don't owe them an answer, but I do like the he's going in sooner for the procedure. Not the asshole. Your acquaintance is basically running a kitten mill from the sounds of it. That's what we think too. They've just had a huge litter from their other queen. You own the cat now. Say no. Do not participate in this animal abuse. Am I the asshole for reading during my lunch break, then getting a bit snarky with a colleague? At the school where I work, as well as the main library, we have a mini library in each classroom. During my lunch breaks, I like to sit in my classroom and read a book from my classroom's mini library for about 10 or 15 minutes, as it helps me relax ahead of the afternoon. Today, one of my colleagues, not a superior, saw me doing this and accused me of stealing, as the books are for students, not us staff. She said that if I do it again, she'll report me. I don't remove the books from the classroom, and I put it back after my short reading time. I don't try to discourage kids from borrowing books, even if it's the one I'm currently reading. I can continue it when the kid brings it back. The students aren't allowed in that part of the building over lunch, so they don't even know I do this, so would have no reason to feel discouraged from borrowing books. Several colleagues, including members of SLT, have come into my classroom to ask me something while I've been reading, and no one has had a problem with it before. I explained all this to my colleague, but she said there's no excuse for stealing from work. I reminded her that staff can borrow and even take home books from the main library, so why wouldn't I be allowed to read books from a mini library? And I asked if there was a rule against it. She said, you shouldn't have to be told that stealing is wrong, and asked whether, if she caught me swiping a school laptop, I'd expect her to turn a blind eye. I laughed at this, I couldn't help it, and asked if she was seriously comparing me reading a book with stealing a laptop. She said, "Stealing is stealing." I told her to report me if she wants, and it'll give everyone a good laugh. She got angry and told me that stealing is no joke, that my attitude is disgusting, and reiterated that if she finds out I've done this again, she will report me before walking off. Feel free to disagree, but I still don't think reading one of the school's books over my lunch break is stealing, but I feel a bit bad for being rude to my colleague. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your colleagues sound deranged. Get on the front foot and tell your superior what is going on before your colleague does. No doubt she will embellish the story to make what you are doing sound way worse than it actually is. In addition to the personal benefit you are getting from reading, you could also mention that it helps you discuss the material with your students if you are familiar with the books yourself. Seconded, I would even frame it as concern for your colleague. Tell your superior that you want to talk to them, that you had an interaction with your colleague that has you concerned. Explain you were reading a book from the mini library and that your colleague saw that and accused you of theft. Explain that you did not remove the book from the premises and that you were doing this on your own time, which is obviously not theft, but that your colleague seemed stressed about this. Then, let them know that you wouldn't have thought too much about it, except that your colleague seemed so upset, and you thought maybe they, your superior, should be aware of it. I wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to justify yourself or whatnot, because that could make it seem like you were doing something you shouldn't. The facts should be enough. Reading a book that is in the room with you on your own time is obviously not theft. That's a ridiculous idea. Lol. Not the asshole. Implicitly, by calling it a mini library, the school allows people to borrow books. You were borrowing a book as intended for 15 minutes. You weren't stealing, so be proactive with your version of events before your coworker tells everyone you are stealing. Yeah, this is literally and literaturely the same as spending time sitting in a library and reading a book instead of checking it out. I fear for our future, if idiots like this are teaching our youth, I wouldn't let this fool teach my dog. Lord, please help us. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.